We'll try that again. Hey, everybody, welcome to Breakthrough TV. I am your host, Rachel Renee, and joining me today is my lovely co-host, Sarah G. Hey, Sarah.
Hey Rachel, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
You know what? Blessed and highly favored. Thank God it's Saturday.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so of course, it is the month of March is Women's History Month. And I am really, really excited about Women's History Month. But before we go there, um, yeah, I know I got to have my notes. I got to stay organized because if I don't stay organized, I'll be all over the place. Because y'all saw what just happened. I just, I just jumped somewhere I shouldn't have been. So let's go back. Okay, so I am the author of the book, but I'm distracted. If you have not purchased your copy yet, I encourage you to just please go to my website and purchase a copy of my book, but I'm distracted. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up on the screen for us today because I was able to yeah, I've been playing with these little with the internet and I think I'm doing a pretty good job. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, so clearly you know, this is that was my book. 10.99 on my website. Go ahead and order your copy today. Okay, so Sarah, how was your week?
It was a God week. It was one of those weeks that God was disciplining me this week. So it was a week. And I say that with a lot of love because Proverbs says that we should love discipline. A wise person loves discipline. And this week he loved me a lot. So but at the end, it was a good week. I was obedient to what he was calling me to do, even if it was not something I was comfortable with. Put it that way. Stepped out of my comfort zone, and I feel that I was truly blessed for that. So
That's good. It's always it's always good when you can receive a blessing for after the spanking, because God's spankings can be a little bit uncomfortable. Well,
hmm.
at least I wasn't the only one getting a spanking this week because I definitely got a spanking too, and then it was also because you had called me and I was just like, man, how should I have handled the situation? And then you called me and you gave me that revelation. So I had literally just finished praying that, and then ring, 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 my phone rang, and it was Sarah, and she was providing me with the answer to my prayer. So thank you,
And
Sarah, for that answer.
what's funny about that, when I had to humble myself to her and apologize, I actually told her, I have two things to tell you. I want to say I'm sorry. That was out of character for me and 100% on me. But also, I want to thank you for being that senior NCO that recognizes soldiers have emotions. Hey, give me a minute. I can't speak right now because my words aren't going to be nice.
Yeah.
That is so important as a human being to recognize. My friend, when I told her thank you, I truly meant it because it showed
Mm.
me that a female can say, hey, look, it's okay to have emotions and it's okay to know when to step back from those
Yep.
emotions.
Yep.
And I feel like even in female empowerment month, right? Like this is so important because I feel like as females, a lot of times we're looked at as emotional people, and
Yeah.
we're not. Where we are emotional people, but we're not ran by our emotions. Say, hey, let me get my emotions in check, and then I'm gonna come back and speak to you. It's super important.
Yeah, I love it. It is that's meekness, and being able to that's self control. Oh, I have the ability to handle you, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait. I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to just handle this a lot differently. So, so yes. So everybody do me a
I'm,
favor and
I'm
text your ladies and tell them that it's Saturday morning and it's time for Breakthrough TV with Sarah G and Rachel Renea. What's wrong, Sarah?
I'm just going to warn the audience. The weather here is super rainy, super cloudy, and our internet connections are not great. I know me and Rachel probably have the same internet provider. And anytime it rains at my house, my internet tends to like slow down and stop sometimes. So if you hear it, just know we'll catch back up if we freeze. Just wanted to give a warning.
Sorry in advance.
We'll pray God doesn't allow that, but if he does, we still here.
We still here. We ain't went nowhere. Okay, so where I was 5 minutes ago, it's Women's History Month, and we want to honor, we want to celebrate the lovely Michelle Obama. Is she not beautiful? Can you hear me?
Beautiful. Beautiful. I can hear
Yes.
you just fine. She is
Okay,
gorgeous.
awesome. Like, I love Michelle Obama. When I think about Michelle Obama, I think about Proverbs 31.
Yes.
Like the way she ran that White House, because I mean, let's be honest. Behind every amazing man is this more amazing woman. So she's truly an amazing woman. I will never forget when she was on CNN and she made that statement of, when they go low, we go high.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What? I took those words and I was like, you know what? Let me use that. Let me use that, because there are so many times when people talk about you and condemn you and want to knock you down and make you feel like you're worthless. But she's like, hey, use that as your opportunity to go high and show yourself as being better than that. You don't have to stoop to their level. So I truly, truly love her her awesomeness. So she accomplished quite a few things as a first lady in first lady of the first lady of the White House, and that's to include the launching of the program My Plate and Mi Plato, and it was meant to help parents make healthier choices for their families. She also launched the Move Child Care program, where more than 10,000 child care professionals and organizations registered to implement new criteria for nutrition, physical activity, and limited screen time. And let's not forget the service members. She and Dr. Jill Biden together launched Joining Forces, a program designed to work hand in hand with the public and private sector to ensure veterans and their families had the tools that they need to succeed throughout life. Today, we honor the lovely Michelle Obama.
Yes.
Let's give her a hand, y'all. Just give her a hand. She's so awesome.
So I also wanted to mention that program, the My Plate program, was actually one of the implementations. Because it was there, I should say, because it was in place when COVID-19 happened. It was actually one of those things where they can kind of USDA could move their funds a little bit, and that's how we could pick up food from the schools. I don't know if you did this, but I know a few families where we live did it. And you could go and pick up those things from the school, because this program was in place. It kind of allowed that flexibility that they didn't have before. So.
I love it. So let me see if I can do this. If y'all missed last week's segment, I just want to share with you quickly a little snippet from last week. Okay, now y'all know I'm not no IT person, so y'all have to bear with me on this one. Okay, let's see what we can do. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Okay, here we go. Let's see.
What you are teaching your children are to be open and honest and real in a world that thinks that we have to put on masks and we have to look a certain way and be a certain way. And we've had this conversation about if y'all don't know, Rachel is a girly girl and I am not. And that's okay. We are
really friends for real. But we
are really good friends. But in that instance, Rachiel doesn't tell me, oh, you need to put on a whole bunch of makeup. And
Okay, Sarah, are you there?
fun. Sorry, I was muted. It was echoing on my side, so I wanted to mute it real quick. But I'm here. Yes.
Okay, so but y'all got a snippet of what happened last week, right? Okay, that's all that matters. All right, good. So we're moving in the right direction. Moving in the right direction. So listen, if there are any IT people out there that can run the backside of this, please just come through. Come through and just say, Rachiel, we'll help you because we're over here struggling a little bit. But it
Because
is
we are not IT.
no, I'm HR. I'm CJ. That's my background. Mommy, yeah, that's me. Sarah, what's your background?
Uh,
Oh, yeah, you gotta think about it. You gotta think about it, Sarah.
well, I've done a little bit of everything, but
Oh, okay.
currently I'm a soldier. So we'll leave it
You're
at
not a
that.
position as a soldier. You're not just out here fighting these streets every day. Or well, you know what? You might be fighting these streets every day. You might be fighting
I
these
feel
streets
like
every
I
day.
am. My friend told me this week that I choose violence, and I was like, violence chooses me. I don't choose violence.
Ah! If these people only knew.
Look, I like Medea.
Yeah,
You
don't play
steal.
with them. Don't play with them. Sarah, you over there carrying steel?
I'm ma'am. We don't talk about what I carry. We on live.
Sarah
Like,
carrying a few things over there. Y'all better be careful. Don't go to Sarah's house. You don't know what you're gonna get. Okay. Welcome everybody to the show. If you can, go ahead and text your ladies, share, subscribe, join, push like, all those good things. Comment throughout the show. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your ideas. Maybe you might want to. There may be a certain topic you want us to discuss. Let us know. And yeah, let's get started. So, Sarah, today's topic is effective discipline, a necessary conversation before saying I do.
I think this is interesting that God disciplined us all week.
When you talk about effective discipline,
We know what
that's good. I like how you put that together. I like how you noticed that.
Yeah. God does that with me. He's like, hey, I'm gonna discipline you. You can talk about it on Saturday. I got a topic for you and Rachiel. Just so everybody else knows, Rachiel is the planner. Rachiel is the preparer, and I am the hey, I'm here. So my stuff is not scripted at all. Whatever flows out of my mouth is completely unscripted. Just so everybody.
Okay, Sarah. So there are many forms of discipline when it as relates to our children, and a few of those forms look like spanking with a belt, or we'll say some kind of object, timeout, and what else? Because that's all I know.
Grounding, taking away things. So effective discipline, right? And I touched on this a little bit last week. Just like God disciplines us to cater to our personalities and to affect that change, He's going to discipline you a different way than He disciplines me. I think that it's very, very important to know your child and know what discipline works on your child. So on one child, I got 4 of them, and not the same discipline does not work on all 4 of them.
Right.
My oldest, I'll probably talk about him the most because he's grown, and I feel like I did a good job with him.
All right.
But my oldest, when I spanked him, it didn't faze him. So it was just like, oh, okay. And it wasn't that he didn't cry. It wasn't that he didn't feel it. It was not effective for his personality.
That's good.
Now, see, my youngest, I can't so much as raise my voice to him because it affects him. So those two things, right? With my oldest, I felt like I could never find something that actually affected him. What I found, and like we said last week, he was my learning curve. So what I found was when I sat down and spoke to my child, because he's highly intelligent, once I allowed him to go through that emotion and I could sit down and talk to him and explain to him what was going on and why, don't get me wrong, there was some moments where it needed to be instant correction. But on the ones where I could sit down and have a conversation with him, he retained it and changed himself. or changed his behavior because he understood why that behavior wasn't acceptable. Now, my two girls, I don't really have to do a lot to discipline them because they're my sensitive ones, and I can just get on to them and they shut down, and then they come back and we can have that conversation, but really don't have to do a lot. They get it together pretty quick. Um, Christina, with her, I have to like, when she was younger, I had to force her to apologize. Apologizing just is not in her nature. Um, but once we got the understanding that that was something she was going to do, or she was going to stand there all day, she understood it. She may not say it nicely, but she says sorry and we move on with our day. But now, like I said, Finnegan's a whole nother ball game. If I raise my voice to him, it hurts him. It physically affects him for me to yell at him. So I don't have to do that. I would say, Finnegan, do you want me to yell at you? Because at this point, this is where we're going. Do you need some time to calm your emotions down and then come back and talk to me? And usually that does the trick. Not all the time, but usually. So what about you? How do you effectively discipline your three?
Okay, so just like you, each one is different. um, and it's just so amazing how that is. Like people oftentimes look for a book on how to discipline your kid. I ain't gonna lie, I bought one because I was like, I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. Oh, you bought one too? Okay, so it's not just me. So we buy these books about how to effectively discipline our kids, and so I'm like, dang, like what am I doing wrong? I would I think my tone was always the same with my kids. I was constantly yelling, 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 especially when they were younger. So I kind of feel like because that's what I was doing, they couldn't really tell the shift between my mommy's being calm and nice today to mommy's yelling today because I was always yelling. So they just had a hard time differentiating between, is this you mean this now, or I'm kind of confused. So I had to learn how to fluctuate my tone to get them to do what I needed them to do. So now when I speak to them as they're older, I use this kind of tone, and I'm talking to them in this kind of tone at all times because I feel like this tone has become more effective and more receptive for them as it relates to them being able to receive. So because they are older, we do more talking now. They're very open, maybe a little too open. They're very open about, oh, I skipped class today. I can't stand this teacher. Or they're very open about, mom, I don't really want to go to school today. I'm frustrated with blah, 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 blah. And then I have to provide understanding of, okay, if that was me and I was having someone that was picking on me or talking about me all the time, or if that was me and I was in a situation where I was really, really frustrated and I felt like I didn't have an outlet, what would I want my parent to do? So I would say, okay, well, you stay home today, but in the background, I'm going to the school, or I'm gonna contact the teacher as an administrator to find out, what's taking place, what's happening. So just at this point, just being able to use my words for communication to effectively discipline my children. Um, Now, as far as when they were younger, because I have my little 3-year-old, that little baby, he different because he got muscles. He got muscles in his arms, his back, his thighs, his leg, and it's just too much. Like it's just a little too much. So I can't really talk to him and get through to him. I raise my voice and get through to him. Like I can charge towards him, and he's looking at me like, "What you gonna do?" Whoa, I don't scare you. I'm not doing a good job. I'm not doing a good job. So I have to, for him, what works is me putting him in timeout. Me saying, okay, you need a moment. And I'll just take him and I'll put him in his room, and he hates it. He cannot stand it. And he throws a fit. And so we use a timeout method for him, and I'll close the door and I'll let him know before I close the door, when you're calm and you can come out and you can do what I asked you to do, you can exit this room. But until then, you stay right here. You kick, scream, whatever you feel like you need to do in this space. But you're
How,
not coming to my space and doing that.
I'm going to interrupt you just a second because I feel like God was just telling me something.
Okay.
I've been in that room. I have, and recently I feel like part of my walk is still in that room.
Yeah.
He said, you can kick and you can scream and you can yell and you can be angry and you can be emotional, but you ain't coming out
Mm.
of this room until you're obedient to me. Because I'm not
Mm.
letting you harm yourself. I'm
Wow.
raising you up. So if that is the case, I'm in timeout in some parts of my life.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I'll calm down and I'll come back and I'll be able to open that door and do what he's asking me to do.
That's right.
But that just spoke volumes to me as a adult, as the way God disciplines me. Because I feel like sometimes we're always in that room. I think of that meme that says if I can't open the door, I'll praise him in the hallway.
Mm.
So maybe we're not in a hallway, maybe we're in a room and we need to just sit for a minute.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I did not mean to interrupt you. I just felt that and I
That's
wanted to
good.
share.
That's that's really good. I don't mind that. Um, but you know, one I did read a book that it was like a little baby book, and it was like, hands are not for hitting. And I thought about it. I said, okay, you know what? So with my 3-year-old, since he's the last of the Mohicans, I think. I said, okay, so what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna get married one day, Sarah. I'm gonna get married one
Look,
day. He
look,
might want a baby.
I am not knocking you at all. If you want to have another baby, that
I
is
don't, but he might want to.
you.
So if I didn't gave the other three jokers one, and he says I do, we say I do. He deserves enough one, I would think.
I feel like God's gonna bring me a man with kids. I can't do it. I can't.
Lord, the Lord knows my heart. I don't want to have to do it. But again, if he just be like, well, I just be like, well, So
We gonna pray about it. How about that?
please, Lord, please, you know my heart, Lord Jesus. You know my heart, Jesus. I'll do the right thing, though, Jesus. But for real, like, I said, okay, so I'm not going to use my hands to hit this little baby. I'm gonna just use like a spoon. So I would get a wooden spoon and I would pop his butt with the wooden spoon. And that was effective for like 5 seconds. That was effective for 5 seconds. And I was like, this dude is gangsta out here in these streets. Like, what's wrong with this little baby? I don't
Look,
understand how
look,
come but you see my little baby.
listen.
My
He is gonna be a powerful force for God. A powerful force for God, but he got to make it there. And he's so sweet though. He really is so sweet. He's a good kid. And I know that we joke about him. But he's powerful.
that baby is
I
strong.
have, so backstory for you guys. Rachiel used to be a neighbor when I lived in Maryland. And the way I met Rachiel was I saw this little boy, and he was probably like, what, 18 months, 2 years old. And when I saw him, I looked out my window and I saw him running down the sidewalk towards the street. Now, my house was a little bit back from the main street, but this main street people like to drive fast on. So I run out of my house thinking he'd gotten out of someone's house, right? Like that happens. My kids did it too. And as I'm coming out of the house, I see Rachiel just booking it, trying to catch up with him. And this little boy's running. He runs like he's fast.
That's somebody's
And I was
daddy.
like, "You got him?
That's
You
somebody's
need
father.
help?"
They come get their kid. I'm reading somebody's grown daddy. Come get your grown daddy at my house. You start paying some bills.
Well, Finn is what, 5 years older than him? 4 or 5 years older than him? And the first time Finn and Joshua met, Joshua picked Finn up. Like it was nothing. Like, hey, friend, let me just pick you up real quick. Let me just.
Girl, this little baby, that's my baby though. Like like you said, he is just so sweet. But
But he's strong.
Yep. So now I do know that, when it comes down to, there are different forms of discipline, and then underneath each form, I guess you would say there are like different styles or types of discipline. So in the sense of, okay, so I put Joshua in his room for timeout and I'll close the door. And when he's ready to come out, when he stopped crying, he can come out. But maybe, when I get married, my husband may say, well, I'm not okay with, you know, him going in timeout for when he gets ready. I want him to do the whole 3 minutes or however old he is timeout, and then we let him come out. And I might be like, well, I'm not okay with that. Like when he's done crying, let him come out. Now we have a whole argument because he don't like my form of discipline. And then you have like, then we talk about spankings. So am I going to spank him with my hand? Am I going to spank him with an object? Am I going to spank him with, if I can't, if it is going to be an object, what kind of object, like all these things I believe matter in a conversation of, you know, effective discipline, especially for, you just knowing for yourself what that disciplinary style looks like.
So I want to say this. Something I learned when Thaddeus was little. A good friend of mine. She was an awesome lady. And she had, I want to say she had 7 or 8 kids, right? Like she knew, and all her kids are good kids. Like they're all grown. They were my age or older. And they were all very good kids. Very well-raised children, well-rounded children. Well, she looks at me one day and she says, "I'm going to tell you something that I learned." And I'm always willing to learn, even if I didn't agree with it, right? Because I was raised, you get popped if you're acting up.
Mm-hmm.
And she looked at me and she said, "These are for love. These are for hugs. These are for consolement. These are for love." And I was like, "Okay." And she goes, "I don't care if you have to carry a wooden spoon around in your purse. You pick one object, and that is your object." And it never really like sunk in until like it didn't sink in when she said it, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple weeks later, Thaddeus was probably 2 at the time. I was going towards him, and I was just gonna like pick him up and tickle him or something, and he flinched. And I realized right then that these are for love. And as much as I try really hard not to use my hands. And even the Bible doesn't say use your hands, by the way. It says spare the rod, spoil the child. It does not say spare the hand.
That's
It
good.
says, and this is a firm belief of mine that I have seen. My youngest, he's been through some things in his life. We're not going to go into, but when he flinched at me, and I have never raised my hand to him, it broke my heart because I knew what he had been through.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, "Mama has never raised her hand to you. Why are you scared?" And when he broke and told me what happened, I knew instantly that these are for love, and I need to reinstate that with him. So one of those things that I don't do is I don't use my hands. I don't discipline with my hands, and I don't. My child is knocking on the door. I knew this was going to happen because they were still asleep.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
But I think it's really important that we distinguish this. This is mom. This is love. Whatever your object is, a wooden spoon or whatever, if spanking works for your child, and when I say object, y'all, I mean like a wooden spoon, a paddle, something that is not an extension cord, not abuse. We're not talking about abuse here
because I'm for babies.
Right. I want to be really clear on that because I've used the word object. This is not abuse. This is like an actual discipline. And if you don't know the difference between spanking and abuse, then don't spank your child.
Yeah.
This is very, like, to me, it's very personal. The same lady that taught me, hands are for love. She said, if you do have to spank your child, never spank your child when you are upset. Spanking should not occur when you're emotional. That blew me away because as a child myself, when I was being raised, it was, you made me angry, so I'm going to spank you. So to break that is important. Like, hey, I need, what we learn this week? You know what? I need a minute or I'm not going to be kind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let you talk about your disciplining. I apologize, but I am.
Go ahead. So I can definitely say that as it relates to unhealthy discipline, which is definitely the conversation we were going to move into next. Like when you as Sarah mentioned, when you find yourself doing things outside of what's considered healthy, grabbing extension cords and grabbing objects, and I'm not gonna lie, I got a habit of doing that. I have a habit of grabbing because my 16-year-old, my son, I will, boy, let me throw this thing at you, and he'd be looking at me like, what? Would you really throw that? Yes, yes, I will. I really won't, but I want him to think that I will. Because sometimes I feel like your kids gotta think you're a little bit on the cuckoo side, so that they know to respect you, or to be like, you know what, I'm not gonna try her, because if we're honest with ourselves, like these children, they're like I said, my little baby got muscles, so you need to put some kind of fear in them. I'm not saying to scare them to the point that they're afraid to reach up and give you a hug, or they're afraid to come into your presence, or they're afraid to be around you. That we don't want to put that kind of fear in them. We want to put the kind of fear of respect in our children, to teach them that this is not okay. You're not going to talk to me like that. You're not going to be in my house acting like this. This is not okay. As adults, we must take back the control of of our home. We can't let the kids run the house. But the government, the enemy, society wants us to say, well, don't do your kids like that, because it's not okay. You have to make sure that you're making the appropriate decisions for your children based off of what we tell you. But I'm the one that I'm ever so quick to tell somebody, if you feel like you can raise my kids better than I can raise my kids, you move them into your house. Move them into your house, and you use your effective techniques to discipline my children, because apparently you have it all figured out. And you'll learn that as your children get older, that they're going to say things and they're going to do things to test the boundaries, to test the limits, to see, are you still cuckoo for cocoa puffs? Now there should never be your child should never get you to the point where you just go like beyond overboard, and you start you know throwing stuff and tearing things up, or really 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 like bringing some kind of harm to your child, to the place or the point to where they're being hospitalized, that to the point where if you are to leave a mark on them, because I have red children, so if I go to hit my kids, that's an automatic red mark. It is what it is. So I got to be discreet on how I discipline them, because the minute that someone sees a red mark on your child, or some kind of bruising or something on your child, they're gonna call it child abuse. That's what the government. That's how we set up right now, right? So we feel like, okay, well, because the government operates like this, and then that means that I can't discipline my children. No, you have to discipline your children, because the Word of God tells us that we are to train up the child in the way that he should go or she should go, and when they are old, they will not depart. But let me tell you something, just because you instill whatever you instill in your children, that's what's going to come out of your children. So if you're cussing and fussing and fighting and doing and showing these kids that this is okay, that this is the right thing to do, then that's how they're going to grow up. If you're teaching them that fighting is a way to solve situations, then that's how they're going to grow up, thinking that this is the right way to do things. So effective discipline, meaning, teach them how to sit down and have a conversation. Teach them how to come and work together with their friends, and say that, even though you fall out today, that doesn't matter. You can still be friends in the next minute. I love the fact that, like, my 3-year old, when he gets all emotional, when he gets upset with me, or I get upset because he's made the wrong decision, and I go and I discipline him, and like Sarah said, I don't discipline. I try very very hard to not discipline my kids when I'm upset. I have to say, go to your room, go to your room now, and, well, Mama, I want to talk about it. And I just go to your room now, and that's our time to separate, and then they go to their place, I go to my place, and I'm able to open my Bible and say, Lord, I'm upset. I am upset. I am angry. And it may take me a long minute. Even when my kids come home from school, I may have to say, what happened at school today? Oh, Mama, you blah, 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 blah. And they'll tell me what happened. And I won't say anything else. I won't say nothing else, because I'm too upset to deal with the problem in that moment. So I've learned, and I've taught myself that I'm going to say what I need to say, or I'm going to hear what I need to hear, and I'm going to allow these things to process. Because when we get angry, or when we get frustrated with our kids, that's when the result is not what it needs to be. The Word of God tells us to be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. In anything and everything that you do as it relates to your child, make sure that you're obtaining understanding. Make sure you get understanding. I get calls from my child's daycare and they're telling me, well, your son is at the daycare jumping off tables and he's throwing things and I always go back to, well, what was he doing when this started? What was the atmosphere like before all this began? Like what happened? I need a clear understanding because at this point, when a teacher contacts you, they're wanting you to go in and do something. They're wanting you to go in. They wanted you to go, come in and discipline your child because I said that they're doing this. Wait a minute. Because there are three sides to every story: your version, his version, or her version, and the truth. So if I listen long enough, I can hear the truth and I can figure out exactly what probably actually took place. Because, like I tell my kids all the time, I know you. I know how you think. I know how you operate because I pay attention to my kids. If someone comes to me and says, your son, blah, 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 that doesn't sound like him. Or just like, with my baby, they're saying he's spitting. I've never seen him spit. Never seen him spit. So it's new news to me. I'm not going to ever sit here and say, well, he doesn't do that. No, because what he does here, I may not necessarily see at home, but who am I to tell you that what you're observing is not what's really taking place? So, I just think that that's very important that, as it relates to our children, that we make sure that we have clear understanding as to what's happening because it's that's definitely key.
So sorry, I had to step away for a second, kids. We understand. Um, I wanted to say that, sometimes it's very important because, especially at Joshua's age, at these younger ages, it's very important to know your child and understand your child because there are certain triggers our kids have. They don't like something, it's going to trigger them. So if the teacher is doing something like, what happened in that moment? What triggered my child? So that we can have a conversation about that and we can negate that situation. Um, one of my children does not like hugs. She doesn't like people touching her, and that's okay. That's her. She doesn't like it. It makes her feel very uncomfortable. So when she was younger and somebody was like forcing a hug on her and she got upset, they were like, well, I don't understand why she got upset. Well, she doesn't like that. As adults, we expect others to respect us on the things we don't like. And I feel that's very important for children to know, and especially younger children to know, hey, I don't like that. I'm going to react to it. If that makes sense.
Yep, that's good, Sarah. That's real good. Um, so of course today our topic is effective discipline and why it is a necessary conversation before saying I do. So um, I will say this: being a mother and disciplining my kids, being a single mom, disciplining my kids, I don't like, I cannot stand having to love them and discipline them at the same time. Although it goes hand in hand, it goes hand in hand. But I know that I want to come home and just be like, I miss y'all today. I had a long day. I just want to love on y'all today. That's what I want to do. But then I'm like, well, if I do that, they're gonna think that because of what they did today, it's okay. So how do I manage them both? Well, for me, when you walk through the door, I'm gonna show love. Hey, how was your day? I struggled today. Well, not let's not discuss that right now. Come help me cook. Or let's laugh, let's watch it. Let's unwind from our day. And then, later on at dinner, I make dinner time the time that we discuss the true things of the day. Like, what happened at school today? What happened? So that's there. So we have at least like an hour and a half to 2 hours to come in and just do that lovey-dovey, ha ha he he moment. And then after we've settled, then we're able to come to the table and say, okay, now what happened?
And I think that's interesting because in marriage counseling years ago, I was taught never come at your spouse when they first walk through the door.
Oh, wow.
Never. The first things should be welcoming. They're coming home. They want to come home to peace. They
Yep.
want to come home to love. They want to
Mm-hmm.
come home to safety. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
they are driving home and they are thinking, oh, Lord, I got to come home and this woman's going to be yelling at me and she's upset with me and yada, 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 right? I don't know about you, Rachel, but me personally, I don't want to come home to that. And I think children are the same way. Like, they get off that bus and they know they haven't behaved well at school, and they know I'm going to yell at them or I'm going to be upset with them. They're going to get off that bus downtrodden already. They've already
Mm,
beat themselves up
that's real
knowing
good.
that they have disappointed me.
Yep.
Now, I look at it kind of like how God disciplines me, right? Like, He still loves me,
Yep.
He still blesses me, even in the worst times. I will be running from God and what He's telling me to do. And I mean, like, full on sprinting, running. And God's just like, hey, Sarah, I love you. Come on back.
Mhm.
And then after He has shown me again and again and again how much He truly loves me,
Mhm.
He says, okay, we need to work on this. And He doesn't hit me right off the bat. I don't know how
Right.
He disciplines others. I know how He
Right.
works in my life. He does not hit me right off the bat.
Right.
It is a slow and gradual change. And what He has taught me with that is that that change lasts. The hit me with a sudden change, it doesn't always last. The slow and gradual change. So when our kids come off that bus, or come home, or whatever, or even our future spouses, right? We welcome them with love when they know that they are loved, and they come off that bus and they know, hey, mom's not going to yell at me right now.
Yeah.
Mom's going to do something with me. We're going to cook. We're going to do something. We're going to read. Whatever, right? We're just going to cuddle on the couch, watch TV, whatever. I know that when I get off that bus that I'm going to a safe place. That's my home.
Mm.
That's my love. That's my safe place. Now, is mom going to talk to me about it? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is Am I going to be in trouble about it? Absolutely.
Mhm.
But I know my mama loves me.
Right.
So that decompress is very important. And I commend you, because sometimes that's one of the hardest things I have to do. When I get a phone call from the teacher, or the bus driver tells me something as Sven gets off the bus, it's hard for me not to be like, all right, well, you know, let's address this situation now. But if I wait a little bit, he's more apt. Like, he gets off the bus hungry. I don't know about your kids. My kids are always hungry.
Mine too.
I eat so much, but he hasn't ate, since lunchtime or snack time. He's
Yep.
hungry. He's got all these emotions going on, and I'm like, you know what? Let's go get you something to eat. Let's sit down and have a snack. Let's do something together, and then we'll talk about it. We don't need to talk about this right now,
Yeah.
because your words aren't going to be kind. But yeah.
That's good, Sarah. I love it. Um, so I have noticed that when children hear a man's voice, they move a little bit different. They move real different. It's like they come with some thunder. Hey, they just start doing stuff. Start cleaning walls. You'd be like, "What you over there doing?" He just said, "Hey, hey." He said, "Hey, have a good day," or "Hey, good morning." You start cleaning walls, and when I tell you to clean the wall, you still looking at me like I'm talking to the wall. It's so interesting, and to talk about my little baby. So at daycare, they what's today? So I got a call from daycare on Thursday, and they were like, "Hey, so Joshua decided that he was going to jump off tables, and we couldn't stop him." And I was just like, "How you couldn't stop him from jumping off a table? How did he get up there in the first place?" But okay, so they were like, but then this gentleman came in the room, and as soon as he saw him, he took to him, and then he all he said was, "Hey, get down," and he got right down. Y'all didn't tell him to get down, or did y'all go and try to chase him, or what this game look like? Because I'm not gonna lie, when I speak with the authority, hey, don't play with me. He'll kind of like, but then he still had that moment where he's trying to figure out, well, is she really gonna do what she says she gonna do? So I get it. With my older child, he told me, he said, "Mom," he said, "all you do is yell." Oh, okay. Sarah, turn back around. All you do is yell. Okay, so let me quit yelling at you because you ain't receiving this. Okay, and then my daughter, when I do yell at her, like your Christina, she just shuts down. And now I can't reach her. But her daddy, when he speaks to her, hey, what I say? I'm talking about if every summer, every summer before he comes and gets her, she her attitude changes. With it 30 days prior to it changes. She starts cleaning her room and putting things in place. And I mean, I'm like, what you in here doing? Oh, yes, ma'am. Mommy, do you need help with the I'm like, who is this? I don't recognize you. And I'm like, okay. So she's preparing herself for the exit to his house because in his house, that's a no go. But even in my house, that same stuff is a no go. How, what are you doing different? And he's not doing anything different. It's the fact that male presence makes the difference.
So I must say this, and it's not meaning to offend because I'm a single mom myself. But God didn't design families
Mm.
to be run by one person.
To be run by a woman.
He did not. He did not design it that way.
Yeah.
Now it's ran that way, right? But
Hmm.
even our children, at their deepest core, recognize the
Mm.
difference between a male and a female, a mom
Yeah.
and a dad. They recognize that leader in a male that leads the family. So I will say that although this is one of the most annoying things my kids can do, listening to random men when they speak and not listening to me. And I've had it,
Mhm.
Finn, before we got him in like counseling and doing things, he used to be really, really bad. Like, and I shouldn't use the word bad. He was very, very, um, he just wouldn't listen, jumping off tables, yelling, whatever.
Piper.
Right. And I can remember being in, I'll say the commissary. I don't remember what store it was in. I was in a store and I looked at this guy and I was just like, listen, if you can, because he was looking at me. You know that look they give you when your kids are just losing their mind? And he was just like,
Mhm. Hmm.
so in my in my wisdom, I looked at him and said, well, if you can get him to be quiet, do it. Otherwise, wipe that look off your face. I ain't doing it today. Sometimes I go out of character, okay? Sometimes I do choose violence, okay?
Sarah be
Sometimes
cutting
violence
up,
don't
y'all.
choose
Tried to tell y'all. Tried to
But
warn
this
y'all.
man looked at my son and was like, "Hey, little man, what's going on?" My son goes, "Hey." I looked at him and said, "You want to walk around the store with me?" Because I can't.
Okay. Can you just monitor him?
Yeah, I pay you. I pay you really good to like just be here with him.
Just stand right there.
But I
Okay.
will say that that is something that I struggle with in my singleness is the fact that I want a husband to help me raise my children.
Hmm.
And instead of wanting the man that God has for me, and when God is ready to give him to me, I struggle with that little aspect of when my children are acting up and just acting
And
up.
don't.
mm, They I'm like, well, where is my spouse? Because moment where I need him. And what's funny is I've talked to a lot of single women, and this is unanimous among single women that this is the moment. But a lot of them are like, the sink is leaking and I need someone to fix it. Where's my spouse? I'm like, no, I got that. Mm-mm. I need to put some drywall up. I got that. Got it. I need to change the oil in my car. I got it. But can this man come along and discipline my kids? Because I'm
Come get
tired.
these kids.
I just need you to come along and help me with my kids. I'm a strong, independent woman until these kids need to be disciplined.
Please come get these kids. But I'm gonna say this though. That was my thought process, especially when my two older were really young. And I'm like, my prayer was, Lord, just send a man to come handle these kids because they out of control. But that's not. the appropriate prayer. That's not okay. God is not okay with us asking, for the man to come discipline the kid, because this man comes with issues, and this man comes with his own personal problems, and this man comes with a whole bunch of chaos, and this man comes with, and this man comes with, and this man comes with, and this man comes with. So now you're gonna have to shift yourself and shift your atmosphere for this man to be here. So it doesn't sound like you're necessarily ready for this man, because all you want this man to come in here and do is turn a wrench to fix the leaking sink, or turn a wrench to, or pick up use his tone, his voice to discipline these kids, and that's not okay. So when we pray to this man, we have to want the whole man. But that's not today's conversation. But I just wanted to throw that out there for someone that's it's like, yeah, girl, that's me. That's me all day. That's not the place that God wants us to be in.
And you're 100% accurate. And that's what the other thing I was when you were talking, I wanted to say was that your accuracy on that is correct, because I didn't learn how to turn a wrench because someone taught me. I learned how to turn a wrench because I had to.
Correct.
I didn't have that choice. God was like, I'm going to show you don't need a man, that I am all that you need. And my friends here, like, I had a leaky toilet, like the toilet bolt, the bottom of it like leaked, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know how to fix it. So I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
One of the guys in my platoon, like, we became friends and we were talking or whatever, had no clue anything about this guy. He was like, they come over for games and stuff, and he was like, did you know your toilet leaks like around the bottom? And I was like, yeah. He goes, I got you. He went out and got the part, come over to my house and fixed it, and showed me how to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, God, I see you. Because he says, I can give you the knowledge that I'm who can give you the wisdom and the knowledge. So I know how to discipline my kids. I don't need a man for that. I know how to turn a wrench. I don't need a man for that.
That's right.
I need what is it? What does the Bible describe a spouse as? A helpmate.
You're the helpmate.
Right. I need someone, right? But I don't need. There's a lot of things I don't need that I thought I needed when me and you first met, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't need all that.
That's
now
right.
I joke around and say, I'm ready, but
right.
I'm probably
not. Yeah. And it just comes with time. So why is this conversation, and we get ready to wrap it up, but I just believe that this is a necessary conversation before we say I do. And the reason being, effective discipline, that is because I have known of a lot of relationships to end, a lot of marriages to end, because they cannot agree on not just finances, because a lot of times we think that, they can't agree on finances, that's why everything ended. Many men have told me I have left my ex-wife because we could not agree on effective discipline. The kid was out of control. The kid was doing this and doing that. And I said, I can't operate in an environment like this, because women, I think women like organization, men like structure. So, or they require structure. So if you have this child that they're doing everything in an organized manner, as mom has said, but they lack that structure and that discipline that they need to be able to go out in these streets and represent the family, then definitely a big deal. So men, FYI, single ladies, men are not okay if you cannot agree on effective disciplinary tips. And even if they say, oh no, it doesn't matter, I promise you it does matter. I promise you that this is a conversation that you must have before you get married with your significant other, and don't wait until the week before the wedding. I'm talking about talk about this in the beginning, because you don't want to get all wrapped up in someone and you can't agree on something as simple as, do we put our child in timeout for 3 minutes or let them come out the room when they're done being upset?
And I think it's highly important because, the Bible talks about evenly yoked.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it refers to if someone is a believer and not a believer, right? And to be evenly yoked. But I think that's a whole across the board relationship. And I truly believe that God gives us people in our lives where we are weak, they are strong. And if like we're struggling with something, they're going to come along and help us just the same way we come along and help them. Our relationship I can just use our relationship as an example. There's been several times that I have called you and been like, I am struggling with this. I don't know what's going on in my life, and you have instantly said something to me, and I said, okay, that's it. That's it. And you wouldn't even know, like, if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't even know that that was it. But I feel like where you were weak, I'm strong. Where I'm strong, you were weak. Like, we come together like that. So I truly believe that, that is something that needs to be spoken to. Like, it's the same as if our, me, this is me. God has already told me I'm done with babies. I'm done having babies.
Yeah, we just lost Sarah. Sarah's Sarah knew her computer was gonna die, and Sarah did not charge it up. She knew better, which I think. But no, um, like I said, uh, the things that we discussed today, the different forms of discipline, what it looks like to have unhealthy forms of discipline, that which ultimately results in child abuse, and the effectiveness of the disciplinary as being a mom in comparison to being a man, and how important it is to have this conversation about the types of discipline or forms of disciplinary actions that we're going to have as parents is important before saying I do. The goal of this broadcast is to be able to bring to you different topics and different ideas to get your mind kind of like boggling and thinking. Because I believe that sometimes when we find ourselves in situations, whether it's in a relationship or whether we are in a friendship with someone, we don't understand how there are certain topics that are key to the foundation of being able to establish the structure of a home, whether you're a single parent, whether you are you're planning on getting married and you don't have any children yet, like regardless to what that may look like, this is truly a topic of conversation that you would like that I encourage you to have with your significant other at some point in time. And if in this moment you're like, well, I'm not really sure exactly what it will look like, I'm not really sure exactly what it's going to be like. So I, I just feel like I'm not really sure. So I mean, I would say that in that instance, just make sure that you think about these things and have this talk with your significant other, and make sure you do it quickly, because you do not want to wait and have your heart broken and you have wasted all this time with, oh, I thought we were going to be the perfect couple, I thought this was going to be this and this, and the reality is it's not. So yeah. So any final words, any closing thoughts, Sarah?
I mean, I just want to apologize. I don't know what happened to my computer. It just said I'm locking now and go down. So I love our conversations throughout the week, and in the morning, Saturday mornings, I actually look forward to them. I want to thank you for your forcing me to do this. Not really, but you know what I mean. Pushing me in the right direction. But closing thoughts. One, know your child. Know your child and what works, what is effective for your child, because each child is different. You can read parenting books. You can ask other parents. Be careful of who you're asking for wisdom from. It's very important. And make sure you're open and honest communications with anybody that you feel could be a significant other, or just that they're open and honest, and this is what I want and what I expect. And don't put your expectations too high.
Don't do it, ladies. Don't do it. Yep. So I do want to remind everyone that I do have an 8-week workshop coming up beginning April 12th for eliminating distractions. If any of you are having any kind of distractions in your life that you are allowing to keep you from advancing forward and moving ahead in this season, in last season, years before, please sign up by visiting my website at www.rachielrenea.co, not .com, .co. And I promise you it will be a breakthrough like no other. So I want to thank you all for joining us today on this amazing topic of effective discipline and why it's so important to have this conversation prior to getting married. Be sure to join us next week. It's that bronchitis, guys. Be sure to join us next week as we discuss the challenges of raising boys versus girls. All right. That's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us on Breakthrough TV. We're out.